Well, hey, everybody. Welcome back to Buddies on Buddies, the show with two real life buddies talking about buddy action comedy movies. I'm Kenny Lane.
I'm Lucas Hill. This is Buddies on
This is
Buddies
the Buddies on Buddies. Yeah, the
podcast, the
show.
video
Welcome.
podcast. Now, a lot of people have been asking me lately, and I swear this is true. Are you guys actually
hmm
friends? Or you guys like
hmm
meet on or Craigslist or whatever, or Facebook,
hmm hmm
like two great podcasters who want to meet up. But no, we're
hmm
we're actually friends. We met in real life and just
hmm
have a knack for video podcasting.
Yeah, I don't know who would actually question that because I don't know who watches the show other than the 43 dudes that subscribe. We have no female subscribers, by the way. I
Mhm.
looked up in our data thing,
That
and
seems weird to
yeah,
me. That seems weird
yeah,
to me.
really, because you think you're hit with the ladies or something. I don't know. It's
Look, where I go, it's like Potty Piper,
Roddy Piper.
The,
That's where you go.
the
Yeah.
women follow. So I don't think you're right there.
I'd like to see Roddy Piper in a flute, like leading a whole women out of town.
He comes every year and takes their women.
Women, that goddamn Roddy Piper.
What were we talking about? No,
Oh, if we're really friends or not. I guess so. I mean, yeah, we been know each other about 22 years. We've been roommates a few times. Yeah, it's been a long, rough road, but we're still the best of buds. Always will be. I'm pretty sure anyway.
there
Till our
is
next
a
falling out.
level of people like Kenny and myself. They want to hang out
Mhm.
with us. They don't want to truly be friends with us, like the true
Yeah.
friends, where you have to deal with, the nit and gritty of a disgusting, horrible human being, which we both are. So
Oh yeah, for sure.
we kind of just, gravitated
Well, we
to
kind of
each other.
yeah, we kind of bonded over our shittiness, and it's kept us close all these years.
Like people are like, you guys are cool. I'd love to see you at parties and stuff. I'm going to keep you at arm's length.
Yeah, no parties for us. We have one party. That's our party at our apartment on Friday nights, watching shitty movies and
And
drinking
everybody's
a
invited,
lot.
but no
Yeah,
one comes. Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Do
that
you
was a
remember one
good.
night when? Well, hold on. Do you remember one
Go.
night when we were really bored in LA? It was like a Friday night, just to entertain ourselves. We wrote monologues for each other to read. I forgot what yours was about. Mine was about a pizza guy, like talking about how making a pizza, it's like a woman. You can't just throw your hands in the dough and shove it in the oven. You've got to rub it down. Like, do you remember that?
No, sounds like something we
No.
do though. Sounds
Yeah,
like a
yeah,
creative
yeah.
outlet we would do aside from doing something that would be worth anything.
Worth anything, or towards a goal or something
Yeah.
like that. Just
Yeah.
fucking around on a very slow like weekend night. But
Just
yeah,
waiting
that
to
was a
be
good one.
discovered.
Yeah, between our hours-long ping pong sessions and beer pong or whatever the fuck we were doing.
Yeah, we had an apartment sized ping pong table, which is
Mhm.
basically just the size of a desk. And we got really good at it.
We got insane at that. We could go back and forth like nuts, and this thing was tiny, but that was fun.
Yeah, that was fun. You'd always get drunk. You always get drunker faster than I do.
Mhm.
So I would be like, oh no, I'm losing them, because we go out in cigarette breaks and you start slurring a little
Yeah.
bit. I'm like, oh fuck,
Yeah.
no more ping pong tonight. He's
Not favorite night.
gone.
No, I knew it, but I can't like swing the ping pong paddle anymore. That's usually a sign it's time for bedtime. When you can't even you don't even know the hell how to swing a ping pong thing. Yeah, that's bad.
But that's a little taste of who we are. We're
Mhm.
upstanding generation millennial, and we're making
I
the
guess
best
so.
of it. Yeah.
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 We're doing all right.
What
Well,
movie?
what did you? Oh, go ahead.
Before we get into what we saw,
Yes.
let's talk
Uh-huh.
real quick about what movie we're going to be covering this week.
Yes, this week we're covering the 1974 Warner Brothers release Freebie and the Bean, directed by Richard Rush and starring James Caan and Alan Arkin.
And if you're anything like me, Kenny, and we haven't talked about this yet, there's a lot to talk about this movie. But before we
Oh, yeah.
get into that, what did you watch outside of Freebie and the Bean this week that you want to mention?
Well, because I've been having a Jimmy Caan tribute, here at the old Lane pad. I watched this movie called Lady in a Cage from 1964 with the big introducing James Caan,
Okay. Wow.
title at the front of it. He plays this young hood who terrorizes this lady who's trapped in her mansion, and that her elevator, when the power goes out, she gets trapped in her elevator from the second floor to first floor.
Mhm.
So she's the lady in the cage, and he's this like psycho with two other punks who just like terrorizing her the whole time.
Were they like
It was
greasers?
kind of a They're not greasers. They're just like kind of weird beatniks or something. Like I
Mm.
don't know, like psychotic beatniks. So it's very much a movie of the time. But that was kind of his breakthrough role, playing this ultra psychotic, guy. And it was kind of controversial at the time because it has these kind of crazy, violent moments. Like someone takes some stabs to the eyes, and like someone's head gets run over, and it's very explicit. So it was okay. It wasn't something I'd really like. Oh man, you got to see this movie. But for Jimmy Kahn, completist, I say you got to do it.
Interesting. I like that.
Mhm.
That's adventurous movie watching. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also watched Honeymoon in Vegas. Hadn't seen that movie in a while. That's a fun movie. I don't know why it's rated so low on IMDb, like 5.8 or
Is it? I thought
something,
everybody
but
loved that movie.
I thought it's so too. It's got a good soundtrack. You got Nicolas Cage in Vegas, Jimmy Kahn's great in it. You got Sarah Jessica Parker, who looks great when people say, "Oh, she's not attractive in Sex and the City or something." Just check out that movie. She's a very attractive lady.
Maybe it's review bombing because of her. People don't like strong women.
I don't know. But Nicolas
I
Cage is
don't know.
fucking hilarious. Nicolas Cage is a fucking hilarious in that movie, and it's funny to see him play an everyman because he does it pretty well. But Nicolas Cage is not an everyman, but he is shouting so, like, I don't like it when people just shout lines in movies that for comedy, like some Will Ferrell and Jim Carrey movies where they're just yelling every line. But he genuinely seems like he's flipping out the whole movie, and it's great. I love it.
Yeah, he does that well. The undercurrent of insanity when he's in control, and he's very good.
Hmm. Yeah,
So I
and that was,
like your
oh, yeah.
adventurous. I've been catching up on Stranger Things, and I was just curious. I was curious what your thoughts on Stranger Things were. Have you watched it?
I watched like the first season or two and then just got tired of it. It's kind of one of those shows. I don't know if I heard this last season's great. That brought back that song by the Running Up the Hill. That's
Yeah,
all
I
over
didn't
the
even
place
know it.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't know it, but
I've read
so
about the
that's
song
back.
before I watched it. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like Wayne's World bringing Bohemian Rhapsody but back to the front. And now that's a classic song and stuff. But I watched the first two seasons. It was okay, but then it just got so like referencey, homagey. Like every scene, it seemed like was they were trying to like either do an homage or reference to something else, where it just seemed like a bunch of just stringed episodes of other TV shows and movies from the '80s, and I
Yeah,
just
well,
got tired of it.
I won't stay on too long because it's fucking Stranger Things. Who gives a shit about that?
Hmm.
But I think
Well, a lot of people do, but
I know. I think it's warranted. It's a pretty good show. I like that they have these interesting characters. They make a lot of them. They make a handful of new ones every season. They team them
uh-huh.
up and then they scatter shot them out on a little sci-fi adventure. I just like
Mhm.
the A, B, C storylines all converging into one. Does a really good job of
Mhm.
that. I just, as someone who reads a lot of screenplays, a lot of people just have an A storyline, and unless that's really good, it gets boring
Mhm.
fast. So I really appreciate them doing that, especially in TV. You can get away with it in features, obviously, but in TV,
Yeah.
it helps to have multiple storylines.
Well,
That's all.
That show's huge worldwide too. It's like the number one like TV show I think in a lot of countries or something. That
I
could be
get it.
Netflix just throwing numbers, but I don't know.
I mean, I'm a fucking 40-year-old guy. I mean, I know I grew up in the 80s and I'm nostalgia for the 80s. So there's that, but
Hmm.
there's no reason I should be watching this. My nieces, love it. So
Well, yeah, if I
it's
was
really,
11, I'd be all over it. I would. It'd be like Monster Squad or Goonies or something. I'd love it. I'm sure. Just I don't know. It's one thing I kind of got sick of after like the first couple seasons.
there's nothing wrong with that. And it's understandable. I'm glad I did start this last season, but
Hmm.
I almost didn't, but I'm glad I did because I'm enjoying it.
I did see though that the Modine machine is in the last season, so I might have to go
He
check
was in the
that out.
first season. Yeah, they got
He
Modine.
was.
And,
I totally
yeah,
forgot.
yeah, they have Modine and Paul Reiser sharing the screen
Hmm.
as morally ambiguous scientists. So they're well
Hmm.
cast. Yeah, no, it's good
Yeah.
fun. Good fun. But let's get into Freebie and the Bee. Normally we like to talk shit a little bit more, but I think this movie
Hmm.
warrants more conversation
Yeah.
than normal. Do
Uh
you
huh.
want
Do you
to
want to give a?
tell? Do you want me to do the plot of Freebie and the Bee?
Yeah, it's your turn to do the plot this week. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, Kenny.
Uh-huh.
This movie's plot doesn't really exist, but it's basically two
No.
bumbling
Yeah.
detectives who, and a lot of this is only because I read the IMDb thing. Two
Mhm.
bumbling detectives are on the case of someone, and then there's a hit on him, so they trail him harder.
Well,
How would you
yeah.
describe it? I'm curious how you would describe it because
I
I had
describe it
trouble
as
finding the stories.
two kind of you know Keystone cops or whatever, detectives they're trying to put this guy behind bars, get a case going on this big time criminal, and they fuck up, and but they know a hit's coming in on him on Monday. So the chief of police, or whatever, tells them, well, it's now your job to protect this guy. So the guy they've been trying to set up, now they have to protect him because there's a hit out on him, and that's kind of the plot of the movie. But I wanted to, like, this movie, I'd almost like call if there's a tagline to it, like, and if you thought 80s buddy action comedies were offensive, check out a 70s buddy action comedy movie, because holy shit, man. Like, wow. That's where to start. I don't know.
Well, let's start with what you thought about it generally.
I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought everything was wrong about it. Everything from the casting of Alan Arkin as a Mexican, and then his nickname being Bean. And then
I didn't even put together that he was supposed to be Mexican. I thought he just had a Mexican wife.
No,
I didn't put it together until the TV show, after doing research, that there's a TV show, and then it's a Mexican character called the Bean. I thought he just had a Mexican wife. I didn't know he was supposed to be Mexican.
Supposed to be Mexican, and Alan Arkin does. I don't know, it's to his credit or to his, I don't know, or detriment, that he didn't do any sort of accent or nothing. No, he acts just like Alan Arkin. It's like,
he's a New York City
I'm Mexican, so what? Like, what's your problem, pal? Like, it's so he's not doing anything like that. So I guess that was good, but also bad, because it was confusing. Jimmy Kahn runs just like Nick. Okay, well, runs the gamut of racial slurs, everything in this movie, from trans people, gay people, Asians, black, everything it's all has offensive shit in there. I was gonna say these guys make Nick Nolte in 48 Hours look like composed and disciplined compared to what the crazy shit they're doing. Like, I don't know. I could keep going, but what do you think?
I hated it, loved it, hated it by the end. Kind of loved it, and but it's like I would never suggest it to anybody, but cinephiles need to see it. If you're into fucking movies, you need to have Freebie and the Bean under your belt. Like, it's so fucking to the point where I almost want to be a disclaimer before we go more into this. Like, if you're into fucking movies, check this movie out before you listen to more of this, because it is a fucking watch. But I think the first hour was a slog. Aside from. And we'll get into it here. I love the action sequences. They were shot so well.
They're great.
Some of the best car chases I've ever seen. I don't know why they're not better known. Like, they're up there. Yeah. They're up there.
Well, why in general is this movie not better known? I'm wondering. For like, I'd never seen it. We've seen a lot of movies, and I just kind of heard about it researching buddy action comedies for this show. So it wasn't even on either of our radars growing up at all, being fans of 70s cinema.
Yeah, it was Jimmy Cahn's that really set off. I honestly think it's because there's no fucking story. There's no narrative momentum. It feels like they ran out with the camera and did a series of stunts and shit. I literally have my notes. It's 45 minutes. I have no fucking idea what's going on. Naturally, there are a couple scenes where like, they have a hit, blah, blah, blah. But nothing's moving forward. There's no cause and effect. It's just a string of fucking events, and then they set the camera and let the two guys riff, and they're fine and all, but there's no story. I think that's why it's not remembered.
Well, I guess the script sold to like Warner Brothers back in like 1972 or something for $200,000, which was a shitload in 1972. And I think it was a drama too. There was no like comedy angle to it. And around this time, all these like anti-cop movies like French Connection and Dirty Harry were like the big, deals. So I think that this was, they thought they had another one of those on their hands. But the director, Richard Rush, who has a very spotty, canon of movies he's directed, like he did The Stuntman, which is kind of a low-key classic, considered. And then he did one of my all-time favorite bad movies, Color of Night, with Bruce Willis. That was his last movie, that and The Stuntman. So it's one of those, Color of Night's one of those movies like, is he kidding? Is he not? Oh, he's kidding. Oh, no, he's not. Oh, he's kidding? Oh, no, he's not. Oh, shit. Like, that was how this movie was. I was like, is this like a riff, like an intelligent riff on those French Connection, Dirty Harry movies? Or is this something just, what is this?
It was by the time when I knew that they kind of knew what they were doing. It was in that big chase
Mm-hmm.
where they had sorry, I'm referring to my notes here. Yeah, because I had 20 minutes all over. The motorcycle chase is when it really got me. I was like, this is good. When he gets on the fucking dirt bike
yeah.
thing and
That
he's
was a
doing
cool
all
chase.
these stunt work, it's great. And it's like fucking awesome. And then it goes into the foot chase with Alan Arkin in the kitchen. And that was hilarious. Like the stunt guy dives onto the thing and just starts throwing things off for no reason. And then he like throws them in and like boils them alive or whatever. Or puts them in the
well, the amount of violence in this movie is fucking crazy for a comedy. Like these guys, Freebie and Bean repeatedly shoot people at almost point blank range a lot. And it's like nurses and other people.
I didn't want to research it. Why did they fucking absolutely murder the guy in the bathroom?
That is because that's a known hitman that came from Michigan. So you know the hitman's coming from Michigan. So they're like, oh, he's in town, so he's got to be the one that's going to kill the guy. So they just follow him in the bathroom. And there's a shot where they like, because it's supposed to be kind of all funny, and then where they cock their guns before going in, like they're gonna fucking blow this guy away in the bathroom, no questions asked. And that's where I think like the shot of them cocking, where it gets kind of serious. And you're like, oh shit, are they really gonna do this? And then they do, and you're like, did that just happen? Like, holy fuck.
Yeah, because they load up with like pistol after pistol after pistol, which is comedic. Yeah. You know, they put them all in their waistbands and they go to the bathroom, they get the other guys out. Then without even knocking, to no visual confirmation.
No, and they just unload on the fucking door. It's like, holy shit, these guys are awful cops. Like I think they're the worst that we've seen so far. Mm-hmm. Like they're trying to frame this guy. And they just like beating up witnesses or beating confession, you know, out of people and stuff. And like everything they're doing is wrong, like the whole movie. But weirdly, you kind of like them too.
What makes it interesting? It's by far the most interesting movie we've seen. The most discussable. Discussable? Is that even a word? It's there's just
I don't know. It sounds like a word.
There's just a lot here that is so fucking odd and some really brave choices where you're like, how have I not seen this before, and why does this exist?
I think it's because of the director Richard Rush, but because apparently both Alan Arkin and James Caan, like they didn't think very much of this movie. In fact, Alan Arkin, once somebody asked about it, he said it was absolute garbage. And then James Caan,
that's fake because sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, James Caan said at one point, he was like, yeah, I don't know. That guy, Richard Rush, director, I don't think he really even knows what he wants. Hopefully I don't know. People find it funny, I think. I don't know. So, yeah, I don't know if they're fans of the movie.
I don't know if they definitely like each other because Alan Arkin apparently went to the studio with James Caan and they tried to pitch a sequel with Alan Arkin directing. So they probably at least liked each other enough because their chemistry was great. And it was after a screen test where they wanted to make it more comedic, because they got along comedically. The camera was great, though. The camera work was exceptional. A lot of long shots. It was just really top notch. It really felt like, okay, this guy's trying to make the conversation. Like, you know, like, this is insane.
Well, he's doing it. Well, and like also like, it goes from these insane, like awesome, like car chases. And then the whole thing with like where they drive off the highway. They do a whole shot of them where they grab each other and scream, ah! You know, and then they drive the highway into a house. So it's got this real fucking like wacky, like, you know,
then he gets out of the car and he's like,
yeah. And then, but also like they'll have these crazy, like funny moments, you know, where they'll hit a fruit stand and then of course like a chicken coop, and then they go into a parade and they're actually running over people.
Yeah.
And you know, it's so jarring constantly, this movie. Like, what the fuck, you know?
I wonder if there was like hate for the Super Bowl. They seem to like really shit on it in a weird way. I know it's at the Super Bowl in San Francisco, but they really like at the end, but it felt like they didn't like football or something, but James Caan played football. I don't know.
I didn't get that angle. I thought that was just that place for the climax to be. Although it was cool seeing like an outdoor actual, like that they shot at Candlestick Park. I don't think Candlestick Park even exists anymore, but they shot it there. And like, you know, it's kind of cool just seeing a lot of extras at a real place. Because it seems like that's just like movies don't have a lot of like big extra scenes anymore.
No, that's all older movies because it's too expensive. You can just easily do it with computers. But they did some neat tricks where the camera would only catch one portion of a lot of people.
Yeah, you don't really see like a whole crowd at the stadium watching the game or anything. So it wasn't there. But I just thought just seeing like 100 extras moving around for this movie. Like they had 100 people actually walking around and
Mhm.
stuff. That was, you don't really see that in like
They had to
today's
stop a
movies.
San Francisco street and do a fucking fake parade full of stuntmen. I hope they were stuntmen.
Yeah.
They were getting hit by cars.
Well, it could be like the French Connection. William Freakin was just like, let's run people
Yeah,
over.
just go,
Fuck it.
just go,
Like,
fucking
yeah,
go.
just go. Just fucking go.
Pay them. Who cares if you ran
Yeah.
into them? What's it called?
Well,
Go ahead.
what do you think of the music? What do you think of that music? It's like a Dixieland jazz shit, just added to the weirdness to me.
I tell you, I didn't clock it. I don't clock music. I'm one
Yeah.
of those guys. I don't clock scores unless they're exceptional or
Yeah.
exceptionally bad.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't clock scores. And if I do clock it, it's usually because it's bad.
Okay, what about the song? Like those kind of recurse, like "We go together like peaches and cream."
It's just such a fucking 70s bullshit thing. And it's not even a good
Yeah.
song at all. Like,
No, but
it
it's just like
reminded me
it's
of Harry
also
Nilsson. You know what it reminded me of is Me and My
Yeah.
Arrow by Harry Nilsson. Me
Harry Nilsson?
and My
Okay.
Arrow. The animated little movie he made for kids.
I don't know if I've seen that one, but yeah, it was like almost like to a kids show or something. It was very like sweet song, like. But this movie is so fucked up. I don't know why it didn't fit. But it fit because it didn't fit because nothing fucking fits or makes sense or is right in this movie.
Did you think they killed him off at the end?
I did, and I thought this it didn't piss me off either way that he lived or did, because I just like they're still strangling each other. You know, I like they're constantly fighting with each other, the whole movie, like actually fighting, and also insulting each other and stuff. But yeah, I did think that he actually died, and I thought, why not? Because nothing, you know, everything else in the movie is fucking crazy.
I thought they killed him off too. I mean, I was still always like, maybe he's gonna pop back up, but a modern movie pop up, not this fucking psycho fucking movie from the 70s. And then when he popped up, I was like, good, that makes more sense. But it would be more memorable if they just fucking killed off the bean at the end of the movie, because it would just add to that craziness of fucking
craziness.
Why kill off one of your two leads for the climax anyway? Like, you're out of here. It's all you, Jimmy.
Because why not? Because this movie just doesn't. It doesn't seem to give a fuck. So, well, okay. So when this movie came out, of course, critics fucking hated it. It was panned. It just thought there was sick humor, you know, all that shit. But it did fairly well, I guess. It made 12.5 million, and which I guess was a hit. I mean, it's hard to tell movies before 1980 because they didn't really keep close tabs. Like, well, the studios didn't really disclose their box office numbers that much, unless it was like a Jaws or a Star Wars.
I could imagine this cost more than 2 to 3 million, so that would have been a pretty hefty hit.
That would be nothing. Like, I think average movie budgets back in the 70s were like probably around 10 million. So, or 5 to 10 million. So, I mean, I don't know if 12.5 would really be a hit or not. I mean, like Godfather made 100 million, Jaws made 100 million, but those were like huge successes. So 12.5 seems low, but I guess it was, they was considered a hit back in the day.
There were some big stunts. It was all on roads. Controlling streets was cheaper back then. They went to the stadium. They had so, I mean, I would say this movie cost maybe 5 million, 6 million tops.
So maybe it doubled its budget or something.
Exactly. And then also the marketing budgets were way cheaper back then. You know, you just did some print shit, maybe a commercial, but it wasn't like it is now where it's half the
merchandise, everything.
Double the budget. Yeah. So, but that's in my limited knowledge. So I would guess that was a relatively decent hit for them. It made money anyway.
Well, they wouldn't have probably done a TV adaptation if it wasn't popular a few years later.
Exactly.
So yeah, but but since you are kind of like, there is very problematic stuff in this movie, especially like towards the end. You know, we're spoiling the whole movie anyway. But the whole trans character who, you know, well, I guess it's a little progressive because it actually does seem like he actually could kick James Caan's ass.
I thought it was cool. Yeah, when he's all calm, or she or they, and doing crazy kicks. Plus, I had no idea it was them when they have their wig on.
Me too.
So it was a really great little twist. Even I wish that character was better developed instead of just one scene in the bathtub. You know,
it still pays off. It didn't feel like a cheat where you like, I've never seen that character before in this movie. So I think it paid off okay.
Yeah, aside from the most likely insensitivity for modern times, it was an interesting little twist.
Yeah, but then Jimmy Caan just keeps shooting like 20 times, you know, and then like he walks out and the chief of police, you know, it's like, what happened in there, you know, and he just says the F word.
Yeah.
You know? And then
what caused it? It was
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Like, it's funny how times have changed. Like, that word hits like a fucking hammer now, if you ever hear it,
Oh yeah. Well,
Like,
I mean, but also James, he called every single other, you
mhm.
know, minority, every other slur in the book, the whole rest of the movie. So it wasn't like it was like, oh my god, I can't believe he said that. It was just,
But it
yeah,
also wasn't
this
like
whole
part of
thing.
his character. He was just a normal cop. It wasn't like he was
Yeah,
this intolerant cop. That's just how he's just a cop. And he talks like that, like everybody else in the world does. It's not like he
yeah,
was
but
special for or unique for being intolerant. That's just how he was.
right, how he was right. But the other like racist cop movies we watched, like 48 Hours and Heart Condition and stuff, they both have an arc where by the end of the movie they've kind of learned something. James Caan hasn't learned shit, and he just doesn't care by the end of this movie. There's no arc at all with
A
either of
lot
these
of
characters.
what I was talking about with the narrative momentum, when I think this movie fails ultimately, is because, first of all, I don't think I would have gotten through this movie if it weren't for me doing this podcast, because the first hour is very fucking slow and shit doesn't happen. There's that
Mhm,
fun car chase, which was fucking top notch, and then we
mhm,
don't know what's going on. The story is very thin, not real. And
mhm,
then the last act, right when everything should be ramping up, we have that
mhm.
long ass fucking sequence of Arkin and his wife cheating on him.
That went on quite too long. I
Why
was
are
like,
you
okay,
spending
let's wrap this up.
10 to
Yeah.
15 minutes in your final act on this shit? We barely know her as a character or them or their
Mhm.
relationship. It's just
She
really
was,
poorly judged. And
yeah.
then you take him out of the climax, and it just, there's, you can see all the missteps they're making.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, that scene went on a little too long, and also Valerie Harper did a good job, but also she's not Hispanic; she's a white lady playing Hispanic. But overall, though, I did not find it to be that slow at all. I mean, the first like 10 minutes or so when it opens, was them like digging through garbage. I was like, this is not how to open an action movie, But after a while, after a while, it was so unconventional or something that I just thought it was such a weird riff on those like early '70s anti-cop movies but it was like a weird comedic or dark comic version of Dirty Harry or Popeye Doyle or something.
Yeah, I guess that's where we disagree, because I was struggling through this movie.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe it was, any
No.
movie, it could be your mindset when you watch it or whatever, but
Sure.
I was struggling. And a lot of their comedy was just
Hmm.
them, two movie stars bantering. And
The
it's like,
banter
this
was a
is as
little.
cute as George Clooney and Matthew Damon doing it. And it doesn't really work for me for that long of stretches.
Well, yeah, you can tell they're improving, but it's not that great, especially the total chief of police scene with the guy who played Mo Green in The Godfather. So you have
Yeah.
Mo Green and you have Sonny kind of, cross for each other. But yeah, his riff on the police captain angry was I liked it kind of. It was just like, you guys are pieces of shit. Like, like, and he kept taking off his glasses for effect. Like, I can't believe you guys can even think for yourselves. And then they would say like, oh, but we got it. It's like, you got 48 hours. Like, what? Did you just go off about what piece of shit they were for, you know, 5 minutes there, and now you're sending them out on an assignment? Like, what's going on?
I have no patience for the angry police chief. I have zero
Not
patience for it
anymore.
anymore. No, even if the movie was
No.
76 before it became a trope and a cliche, I am
Yeah.
so sick. I read it in scripts. Like, why would you put, unless you're doing something new and interesting with it,
Uh-huh.
what are you doing?
Well, yeah,
What's the
hand
point?
over your gun and hand over your gun and badge. I'm
Yeah.
sick of reporting your screwball annex to the commissioner. One more mess up and you guys are toast. I mean that's been in so many TV shows and movies. I mean it's so cliche by now.
Hey, I was
But this one had
watching,
a little different. I think this performance was a little off.
they
A little
let him
different.
ham it up a little bit. So it was a little
Yeah.
more fun. And the whole movie is just a little off like that with almost everything it does.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
like fucking slam dunk car chases, and there's a lot of them, and they're
Yeah.
just, to
Oh
me,
yeah.
some of the best I've ever seen. And
Yeah.
we'll definitely study, and would suggest anybody to study if you're ever filming one, because you
Hmm.
really felt it. I
Oh
love when
yeah.
do you remember in the truck at the big in the first car cheat, and the
Hmm.
truck's on its side, and the corpse is
Hmm.
against the glass of the driver?
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, I don't think he's
Yeah.
gonna make it. It's fucking awesome. What a little
Well, I love
detail.
that the first time you see the truck when they're kind of pulling up on it, you see the truck go by, and then all the other cops come behind it, and then but the shots from the back of their heads So it's like you're seeing what like they're pulling into this chase just as you're seeing it. I thought that was kind of an ingenious way to like enter a. So it's like, oh shit, now we're into it. Like all of a sudden you're right there. So yeah, the chase scenes are really well done.
And also, and what's really important to me as an action aficionado, that's why I do Buddies on Buddies, is sense of place in action sequences. We always know where we are and where all the other characters are. We're never oh, just a random cut to whatever the fuck, So I really appreciate that stuff.
So like, how would you rate this movie as far as like, I just said the first half hour was slow, but it's I don't know. I didn't think it was that slow, but I thought it was pretty. This was the first one, like you said, I was like, wow, when it was over, like I just watched something. I can't believe I haven't seen this. So how would you kind of rate this movie overall?
It's definitely the first one. It's hard. I have a different scale on my rating system. I would say for people who love movies and want to take in a lot of movies and are adventurous movie watchers, this is 4 out of 5. You got to check out Freebie and the Bean. It's fucking up there. For the average viewer, 2 out of 5. Avoid it. Your chances are you're not going to like it. It's a buddy cop movie. It's got to go 4 out of 5 because it's so interesting and unique and does something new and it's artistic. Yeah, I got to give it 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I would give it 4.5 out of 5. I'd also give it like a 0 or a 1 because it's one of those I can't decide if this is a horrible movie or a like masterpiece. But even the critics hated, even though critics hated it, 2 very big fans of this movie. One, not that surprising, is Quentin Tarantino. He calls it a masterpiece, and but also Stanley Kubrick said it was his favorite movie of 1974. So,
yeah, I mean, those guys are movie makers, not movie critics like we are. So I don't know if what they think really matters.
Well, I think they're looking at what the director is doing. They're directors, so like
Kenny.
Joking. Well. Anyway, it was hilarious, but I mean, that's pretty. When you think as Kubrick, you think of like very serious movies like 2001 and Shining, but he also did Dr. Strangelove, so he knows comedies a little bit.
Yeah, but also a lot of like Tarantino's list is always there's always like. Every year he rates movies or whatever. There's always 3 that like, what the fuck?
What the fuck? Like that 3 Musketeers one that was like in 3D. That was like his 10 best. You're like, what? What the fuck did you like about that? The sound mix or something? Like what?
They see things through a different prism.
Yeah. Well, R.I.P. Jimmy Caan, the late great Jimmy Caan. He died last week. So we're covering, we covered this movie. I'm really glad we did. Like I said, it's a real standout. I did want to ask you one thing. Do you know the scene where he like goes down on his wife?
Oh yeah. I remember that scene.
Did that make you remember when I got that book for your wife a couple of Christmases ago? You'll Never Make Love in This Town Again, written by Hollywood prostitutes anonymously.
It did not, but refresh my memory on what story within that book you gave my wife about prostitutes in Hollywood.
Yeah. It was the Jimmy Caan one where she gets with Jimmy Caan and she talked. I think I read this out loud. It was like the first. I was like, check out this chapter, and she said Jimmy Caan, all he wanted to do was like go down on her, and then but it started out good, she said, but then he kept going, and then he was down there for like hours, and it was like actually kind of painful towards the end. That made me think of that scene when that came up. So just want to, do you remember that?
Yeah. Me and my wife both remember that. That time you read that story to us at a restaurant in Long Beach, Washington.
Yeah.
Well, we were in Arcadia. Sorry.
Good times.
Right? Yeah.
Astoria.
Yeah. Beautiful. Goonies was shot there.
Were my parents
was reading that chapter to my wife.
Well, it's my book I got her for Christmas. It's about prostitutes. She's a feminist. It's about female empowerment.
That's really disturbing. And even though I don't believe any of those stories, that makes this one more believable. If he was like, hey, I got to have a scene where I'm going down on her. All right.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, Jimmy.
Well, if you can't trust a book written by anonymous prostitutes, who can you trust?
Do you think any of them were like, they're not even lies of prostitutes. They're just like white guy authors who just made this shit up.
It could be just all just like some like penthouse writer just like making this shit up, but who knows? It's still a fascinating read, though. I will say, especially with the ones about like George Harrison and Don Henley's. That's a good one, and Jack Nicholson. They're all in there. They're
all right.
Yeah.
Hollywood Horrors, the book. Check it out.
No, it's not called Hollywood Whores. It's called You'll never make love in this town again, you goddamn Bulgarian. Show some
Bulgarian.
respect.
Wow, that's racist.
Yeah.
Bulgarians are actually people, you know.
What? No, I said Bulgarian, not Bulgarian.
Bulgarian.
Dummy. Yeah.
Oh, I don't watch Star
No,
Trek.
yeah. No, that's Vulcan. Jesus
Oh,
Christ.
what? How did this movie make you feel? What did you learn from it? What did it imprint onto your soul?
It made me think that I could be very against what the movie is saying, and also very much enjoying the movie. I guess like a lot of movies are politics are horrible that I really enjoy, like Rambo or Death Wish or something. Like I do not agree with his politics, but they're like my favorite movies. So this might be up there with one of them where I don't agree with any of this shit, and I think it's wrong, but I love this movie.
Yeah, I guess I'm in the same camp a little differently, though. I can not be entertained by a movie, except for a few scenes that I thought were great. And by the end of it, thinking that was a very rewarding watch.
Yeah.
And I think the experience, even if I did not enjoy it and have no interest in really watching it again, aside from the chase scenes, which I might actually put on again and just fast forward through, because I thought they were awesome. But that's what's interesting about movies that are this divisive. They're fucking weird. They're not for anybody. They're not for any specific person.
Who was this movie for? Yeah, like what were they? What demographic were they trying to hit? I don't know.
Yeah, it's fucking weird.
It's like a sick mentality or something, but it's kind of brilliant. I don't know. I wish Richard Rush had made more movies so I could figure out if he was fucking kidding or not. Like maybe that's his brilliance. You never know. Is Color of Night serious? Who the fuck knows? Like, you know, Bruce Willis sees a client jump out the window, then he goes colorblind. Like what? Like,
and then the twist is it's this maybe goes into some of the transphobia in this movie, isn't the twist?
Yeah.
That he's fucking a girl that's actually a little boy or whatever, or a young man.
No. One of his group therapy session. One of
the
guy
dresses like a young man.
Is a trans, but it's a little trans theme, weird shit with killer. I don't know going on in his movies, but he only made I think that Color of Night was his last movie. I think he died last year or something. So.
Are you saying someone directed Color of Night and that was their last movie?
He put everything. He put his heart and soul into that movie, and then it was rejected. And then he just fuck it. That was my masterpiece. No one fucking appreciates.
I always confuse Color of Night with Jade. You remember that movie with the red?
Yeah, they're both. Well, all those are erotic thrillers came out in the '90s after Basic Instinct was such a smash. So they're all just really out, and they were so silly. But I guess Color of Night bombed horribly in theaters. It was one of the biggest video rentals of the '90s. So. You know, obviously before internet porn, that's what people had to do. They had to go to the video store and rent Color of Night, I guess.
You'd have to go in with your kids and sneak in your Color of Night rental.
Yeah.
And go wait, I'll be in the car if I got the milk duds. And this one, please.
Yeah. We're getting Little Giants and Color of Night. I've never seen it. Whatever. Yeah, it's cool.
Oh, Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
I like a good action star. What are we watching next week? We haven't talked about it off air. Off air. Why not?
Well, we haven't done an 80s one for a while. So one I was, grew up with, I haven't seen for a little while. I've been wanting to revisit is Spies Like Us because I'm a big Chevy Chase fan. How would you feel about watching Spies Like Us again?
Is the action there? That's one thing there?
Well, that's one thing we're going to have to find out. Watch.
Just answer the question: is the action there?
Guns are fired, explosions happen, things blow up. Yeah, I think there's action there. I don't know how much action. I think it's like Bad Boys or something, but I think it's enough to qualify.
All right, Spies Like Us it is.
Are you disappointed by that choice? What were you going to pick?
I don't know. I just never liked that movie. I've seen it a bunch as a kid. I haven't seen it in years, though, so it's fine. What was I going to pick? Schindler's List.